What is going on, you wonderful people? So I just got home a little bit ago from watching the new movie, The Strangers Chapter 1. And in this movie, we follow a couple. They're on a road trip and they run into some trouble, car trouble. And our story picks up from there. If y'all have seen the original Strangers, you know how it goes. This movie, in ways, is kind of different from the original, but it's also an exact replica. It is an exact replica. So, really, I would recommend y'all go see it. But if you don't want to, because you thought the original was enough or whatever, then you really don't need to see this because it's the same exact thing. There are minute little things that are different, and there are a good few things that are different. But in this story, we follow them as they're going on the road trip and they run into that trouble. And that's how we meet the strangers. They go to this house, and here come the strangers, and all chaos ensues. So they have to survive the night together, working together to stop them and to survive. And that's the main premise of this movie without giving anything away. Let's talk about the story first of all. So, I already told you the story. That's the main premise. I thought the story was good. I thought the story was good. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I am someone who really liked the original. I really do like the original from 2008. The second one, Praise at Night from 2018, I absolutely hate with the passion. Cannot stand that film. It's so bad it's good, like it's so bad, but you're like, do I want to watch this again? But in my mind, I'm like, I don't think I need to watch that again, But story in this movie's great. Uh, the tone, and I'll get into the tone later, but it's just so perfect. And I'm not saying this movie's gonna be like top 10 or anything. It might be honorable mentions. It is gonna be honorable mentions for me at the end of the year. It's not gonna be top 10 though. But I know a lot of the early reviews have not been good at all, and I was kind of expecting that. But I went in with the open mind, being very excited about this movie, and I went in, sat down for the hour and 31 minutes that it had, and I was like, all right, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. I want to be immersed in this, and I was immersed in it. It's from it'll make you tense. You thought the first one made you tense. First one made me tense. This one, honestly, in my opinion, it's more tense than the original. I think personally, but you know, the story breeds well. It takes its time, and I don't think you really get to know these characters honestly. And I do feel like the strangers have more personality in this movie than the other two. But you actually get to see them. But the story overall is great, and going straight into the tone and theme, just like it kind of goes along with the story in a way. The tone is very, very consistent in this movie. There's a few humorous bits, but with a movie like this, with how scary the original was and how tense this one is as well, I feel like it's more tense and scary. It's more edge of your seat thriller than horror jump scare, which there are some jump scares, but it's not like, oh, that's so scary. No, but it is at the same time. But the tone is very, very consistent, and you're in it the whole time, and you're not laughing the whole time, if that makes sense. Like, you feel like you're there, and seeing this in a Dolby theater, which is I think is what I saw it in, because the sound design, I'll get into that later as well. But sound design is one of my favorite things about this movie, along with the score. Get into that later. But oh, sound design, it is great. But the tone captures you, and you're invested, and it captured me, and I was like, wow, this is like very, very tense and on your seat, and you're like, I don't know what to do. These characters, like, don't go over there. No, 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 no. Oh, what's that person doing? It's like eerie. It's very, very eerie. And talking about the characters now, our main actress, our main female protagonist, her name's Maya, I think, in the movie, Madelaine Petsch. I didn't know she was in Riverdale. I've never watched Riverdale, but that's what she's most known for. You know, that's what she's popular in. Um, she was great, and I'll get into my negatives later. But my main negative about this movie is the acting. I feel like Madelaine Petsch did her best. I feel like she did fine. She did fine. Froy Gutierrez, our main male protagonist, I feel like he could have done better. I don't think his acting was very well done in this movie. I don't feel like his acting was well done. But Madelaine Petsch, with the way both of them were written, Froy tried his best. But Madelaine, I feel like she tried her best in a way. She knew what she was doing, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like she did good, but it's just the acting, I feel like, was just not all there, if that makes sense. And I feel like it could have been written a lot better, which the dialogue isn't horrible at all. I actually think the dialogue was good for what it was, you know, and I the acting is just hard to talk about because I just really feel like it could have been better, you know, but between the two, I feel like Madeline as Maya, she did good. You know, she did well with what she was given, you know, and she played her part well and she knew what she was doing. She wasn't there to just be like, "Oh, okay," and just not try, you know. I feel like she did good enough. And now talking about Froy Gutierrez, it's just every time he would talk, it's just I feel like his acting chops weren't there, and I hate to be like that because I know he tried his best as well, you know, and I know he wanted to be there obviously to make this movie to play his part, and he tried his best, and he did well with what he was given, you know, dialogue wise, acting wise, written wise, you know, if that makes sense. Y'all know what I'm trying to say, but I just feel like he could have done something better with his time. And I feel like that wasn't the case. And, you know, there were some scenes that, you know, he was good at, you know, he did fine with. And it's not the dialogue that was bad. It's just his acting wasn't very good. And I feel like the writing has a part to do with that, if that makes sense. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. So overall, I feel like Froy was okay. No hate against him. It's just this is my first time hearing about him. I've never seen him in anything else, but I hope Froy's in other movies and TV shows so I can see him grow as an actor. You know, I mean, he did all right. Oh, we got to talk about the strangers, all three of them. Oh my goodness. There's an opening scene in this movie. Very, very minimal, short opening scene, but short and sweet. Like it is a very, very good opening scene, um, where someone is running and the strangers show up. It sets the tone and the mood for the movie, and I feel like that opening scene was amazing, and it's wild. The strangers in this movie were nuts, and they have more personality, and they're just and going along with the strangers. Now talking about the horror elements, there's a horror movie, obviously, and I know most people have seen the original Strangers and the second one. The horror elements in this are crazy. Like, not so much in the fact that it's scary, but it's tense. It's very tense and it'll have you on the edge of your seat. And sorry, I'm trying to be quiet. I'm trying to be quiet because I have people downstairs sleeping, so I want to be respectful to them. Um, but I also want to get this review out for y'all as well. But it is very, very tense, and I was sitting there like, you know, like grinding your teeth moment, and you don't get that a lot in movies, horror movies nowadays, but Rennie Harlan did a very good job of making sure the audience felt like that, and he knows how to make a scary movie. This is my introduction to Rennie Harlan, and Rennie Harlan's a good horror director. I'd like to see him do more horror movies and other movies in general. He's a very good director, and I like to see what he does next. But it's just like for the scope and scale of this movie, it's just very eerie. There's like certain shots of the forest that's around him, and it is very eerie. And there's fog in the forest in some scenes, and it's like, wow, this is crazy. And this is what I'm mainly excited to talk about. So in this segment, this is the directing style, but and this is all gonna be kind of one. The way this movie was directed, like the shots and the visuals, and just I had something in my brain and I can't even remember what it was. So the directing of this movie, the visuals, the angles, and the score and the sound design. Please, when I tell you, and I apologize again, I'm trying to be quiet, y'all. I'm trying to be respectful to people downstairs, but I want to get this out for y'all because I'm super excited. All of that in one, but the sound design. If you are going to go see this movie, please go see it in Dolby. It's not in IMAX theaters. It's not made for IMAX, but go see it in Dolby because the sound design is amazing and score is really good too. The way the sound design and the score mix is just chef's kiss. It is just amazing. And then you have the way this movie was shot, the visuals, the angles, the scope and scale, and the way that Rennie Harlan crafted this movie. It's out of this world, and that was one of my favorite. And the costume design as well. The costume design was really, really good. And I wouldn't say the characters really have any depth to them. They really don't, and they're not. You know, they don't really have any personality or emotional depth, or you don't really get attached to them. But all that being said, it's crazy. But if I had to talk about my negatives, I already touched on them earlier. I don't really have many. I only have two, and that was the acting, and I'll talk about that first. So, I already touched on it. Froy tried his best. Madelaine tried her best. Madelaine did fine. Froy did but I the acting could have been better, but it's the typical action that you get in these horror movies. And my second negative is that although I did like this movie, I really did, it is a complete and utter rehash of the original 2008 film. Like, copy from copy. There are some things that are little minute things that are different, but overall, there are some things that it is the same film. So if you're not really wanting to see this film, just go back and watch the original, because the original and this one, because I can't tell if it's a prequel or remake, but I think it's a bit of both. But yeah, it's a rehash. But those are really my only two negatives. But overall, I was very excited for this film, and I ended up walking out overjoyed and like, whoa, like I excited to talk about this movie and see it again, like I'm excited to talk about it with people. I'm excited to watch it again when it's here, like I'm excited and I really enjoyed it. And if you're a huge horror fanatic movie wise, definitely go give it a shot. I know a lot of the reviews right now are not good at all, but if you're a Strangers fan of the franchise, even though there's only two other movies, definitely go give it a watch. I think if you're a horror fan and not a Strangers fan, you're gonna like it. But if you're not a horror fan, you are a Strangers fan, you definitely are gonna like it, And it does set up chapter two in a really good way, and I can't wait to see what they do with that and chapter three. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video right now. Comment down below. Tell me what y'all thought. Did y'all like Strangers Chapter 1? Did y'all not? Are y'all planning on going to see it? If y'all haven't yet, maybe not. Maybe y'all are. Let's talk about it down below. Like I said, do not forget to subscribe. Follow me on all my social medias down below. And until next time, my wonderful people, talk to you later. Cheers.